Yes.
They are bored because the environment around them doesn't stimulate them enough to keep searching. You know, this
That's
is what
something
happens.
else again, if you're not lucky.
Yeah.
I was lucky.
You're
Very
lucky,
lucky.
because you had an understanding family, and then
My father.
Exactly.
My father, who was an artist painter, understood not only music, but every note, which is absolutely beyond my comprehension until this day. A man who never learned. So that tells you something.
So
That
he was in
from God.
Exactly.
It's
And maybe he had this inborn talent that was not developed.
How do you explain that?
Of course.
He was frustrated because he knew how to read a score a little bit, but not properly.
But his instinct was right.
Every time I tried to trap him, I deliberately played something to him, you know, by one of those great composers, Beethoven, Brahms, Mozart, and I said, Daddy, I want to play you two versions of it. Which do you think is the correct one? This or this? Didn't hesitate for a second, like a bomb. That one. That's correct.
He knew.
So it was, without fail.
Let's go back to the Enesco sonata, because we deviated a little bit.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about that piece?
Well, as I started to say, I was the lucky one, because I met Enesco when I was a child, and this was just before the war. So my father took me to Paris and brought me in front of Georges Enesco, and I played to him. And I'll never forget the question that he asked me. And it was not his composition, but I played Bach Chaconne to him that time. And he said, did you study it with me? I said, no, maître. And that was that. He didn't say anything.
Nothing.
No.
So what happened when you were looking at the score of the sonata that you performed?
By Georges Enesco?
Yes.
I didn't quite understand it at that time. I just played it like everything else, but I'm learning it now.
Do you see it differently now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I didn't see the personality of that music, which was Enesco. And I have to say something, and maybe, I hope he will forgive me, whatever he is. He wanted to escape that, I don't want to say stigma, because it's not a stigma to be Romanian. But he was, I think, a little bit afraid of it, that he might be accused of being gitano, as we say in Spanish. Gitanito, which I love, by the way. But I think he was a little bit afraid of it. He wanted to be terribly, terribly classical. He did not achieve it in his composition.
Because he's so free.
The sonata is totally gitano. And I'm sorry to say, my dear maître, because that's what they called him. He called me Mademoiselle Handel. When I was about 8, 9 years of age, he called me Mademoiselle Handel, and I called him maître. So I'm going to say maître. I'm afraid it's very gypsy, that sonata, and that's how I play it. And which is phenomenal. It tears you apart. So be happy with it.
It's so interesting to see the score of Enesco's music, because it's so full of so much detail. It's unbelievable how he actually writes in the score everything he wants, every bar, every note, every nuance, you know.
Amazing.
And it's interesting, because if you follow his directions, at the end of the day, you feel very free.
Yes. So true.
It sounds free.
Yes.
With so many instructions, you know, left, right, here, there, you know, there are so many instructions in the learning process of the piece.
Yes.
But, and yet, when you perform it, it's just like it was written in the spirit of a moment.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yes. Fascinating. Absolutely 100% correct. And this is what I find so spellbinding, because it's very close to my heart. This is actually who I am. When I play it with Misha, who is who he is, we are a team. Yeah. That's how I feel it, that's how he feels it.
Actually, when you performed at the National Gallery and I was listening to both of you, I said this is very difficult to match what you both do in that. What you both do in that sonata, it's very difficult to match. I think that very few people have achieved that kind of
convincing.
Yeah,
totally
understanding. Both of you.
Yes, I agree.
It sounds like one amazing thing.
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely.
And it's so difficult, both for the violin and for the piano.
Very, very. For the piano, for God's sake. I mean, you have to be a virtuoso
yes,
in the first place to play it. It's a virtuoso piece.
But so you identify with whatever the composer is, really.
Well, I understand it.
Yeah.
I can change according to the composition. I understand it in my heart and in my spirit. I don't know why, but I have a very easy recognition of that music. There is no problem for me to change myself to fit in. You know, I'm not going to play a Beethoven sonata as I would be playing Carmen Fantasy. Never. And are there such performers? That's a question. Who can't change?
Well, not many.
Not many. I mean, most of us.
Yeah, not many.
They have to be idiots.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know,
I mean, how can you play Beethoven sonata and sound like Carmen Fantasy?
Well, a lot of artists don't have the culture. You need to have the culture, you know, and you have to understand style.
Or the control, maybe. You're right.
They have to understand style, you know. You cannot approach.
So they are not.
Every composer the same way.
Then that's a lack of culture.
And also, going back to talking about you, you know, for me it's just fascinating to see that you're interested in everything. You love flamenco and you love...
yes, I do.
All kinds of music.
Absolutely.
Even Metallica, because I remember I went to a concert and you enjoyed it very much.
Oh, very much.
To my surprise.
Very much. Because everything is art. But you have to interpret it that way. If it's lousy, then I don't appreciate it. But it has, everything you do, in my opinion, has to be first class. If you don't do it first class in that kind of environment or projection, don't do it. Stay away. Do what you can do. I want to dress in a first class way also, so that I wear a pretty dress. I'm not going to appear anywhere not looking properly dressed. Even when I take my doggy for a walk, people say, "Are you going to a party?" When I take my Decca for a walk, I say, "No, I'm going right into the street, but I want to look good."
And you do it for you.
For me.
Of course.
Precisely.
Of course.
That's it. In my bedroom, I don't wear rags.
So what, when you are looking at the future generations, you know, and you had a word of advice, what would that advice be?
You know, first of all, I would say that I've been lucky. I met some of the younger generation who, I think not too long ago, we attended a concert with the younger generation, and I was really impressed. I think that some of the teachers now, and this is not a compliment, we have you for the piano, who understand so much how to transfer all of that, how to explain. So I'm very optimistic, not pessimistic. Not too long ago, maybe I was, but I think things are looking up. The teachers know a lot more than maybe some generation before. They take a lot of pains to rise to the highest level. They are themselves very educated. So I'm very, very hopeful that it's going to be okay.
I think that also with the development of technology, artists have access, you know, through YouTube, through the media, the way it's presented today. They have much more access to much more information.
Probably.
And they can make their own decisions.
And they learn.
And I think that they are more assertive than younger generations. They don't pay such reverence to teachers. They really try to develop their own individuality, and they look for their own roads and own ways. And I think that should be encouraged. I think that we have to. I'm very sad. I think that that I love to talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and hopefully we will have other projects.
Well, you know what Scarlett O'Hara said in Gone with the Wind?
What did she say?
There is always tomorrow.
There is always tomorrow. And we
Tomorrow
have great plans
never-
for tomorrow.
Never ends.
Exactly.
So on that
And I
note-
still am hopeful that we will realize this dream of turning Miami into your world when it comes to the violin, and attract all the violinists of the world down here. So they can share. I mean, I feel so fortunate to share your life and your way of thinking, and I'm not selfish. I want more people to share that with you.
May I add something to that dream? Do you know you're the very first to express that dream? You see, Miami was a very well-known tourist attraction. Everybody wanted to come to Miami. Why? Because there is the ocean and the sunshine. It was for the sand and the water and the sunshine. All of a sudden, you introduced something different here, which I'm hoping, because I like Miami very, very much. I'm very comfortable here, and not many people know why I'm here. May I mention why my presence is in Miami? My father was an artist painter, and he had a friend whose name was Bashevis Singer, Isaac Bashevis Singer, and he wanted to be near this great author's presence. I bought the house because of my father and Isaac Bashevis Singer.
Well, hopefully we'll make that dream come true.
And you are the one to introduce that dream, and I feel that you will achieve it. And I'm ready to be with you whichever way you want.
Thank you, Ida.
Thank you so much.
And we all love you very much.
And I love you. Thank you so much.
You.